Nelson with the Kansas City Business Association, and we have one of our newest members today. Who do we have here?
Byron Harper.
Hey, Byron, tell our audience a little bit about your business, what you do.
My company is Affricana Art. We sell African artifacts, mainly statues, masks, a little bit of African jewelry, and those kind of things.
How long have you been in business?
2 years.
2 years. What inspired you to get into African art?
I was pretty fortunate. I started and got an initial interest in African art in Houston, Texas. I studied and worked with a gentleman by the name of Sherifu Drummer. He's from Gambia. He had a couple stores there, and eventually I started running his stores for him. So
What type of things was he selling in his stores?
He sold a combination of African art, statues, masks, shea butter, jewelry, clothes, textiles. Textiles are African fabrics. So it gave me the ability to see.
You got a. I was down in your place yesterday, and you were saying that you were getting ready to have a sale on textiles. Let's talk about the type of textiles that you sell.
We have a combination.
And where they come from, per se.
Okay. We have a combination of different types of textiles, mainly from West Africa. We have mud cloth from Mali. We have kente cloth from Ghana. And these are all handmade fabrics, hand-dyed fabrics. We have batiks from Ghana. Just an assortment of different
What's the? You know what? I didn't realize you saying this design basically comes from Ghana. This design. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Right. Several African countries, they have their own techniques. Whether it's dyeing, whether they're using looms to assemble the fabrics. In the Congo, for example, they have what's called kuba cloth, which is a material made out of raffia. It's kind of a grassy material. That material is very intricate. It's started by the men. The men started off making it. The women do the finishing touches. So it's a combination of bringing the community together with these different fabrics and different techniques of doing African artifact.
East Africa, West Africa, is there a significant difference in Central Africa and not only the kente cloths, the art forms? Because when I was down to your place yesterday and looking at some of the masks and looking at some of the statues, you mentioned the Dogon tribe, and I was familiar with the Dogon tribe. The star Sirius, before the telescopes and what have you, they was like, there's no star, but the Dogons had known about Sirius for millennia. Talk a little bit about that.
The Dogon. So most of your carvings, wood carvings, come from Central and West Africa. East Africa does some things. The Makande tribe there, they do a few things. South Africa, it's normally not as much wood carvings, but more stone carvings.
Didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, enlighten our audience a little bit about what's going on in Africa and where you get your product from and the difference in your products.
Okay. So right now you have an emergence, and there's a lot of interest in African art. The biggest form right now, that's really getting a lot of people's attention is more wall art, contemporary art. It used to be that it was kind of a area that was kind of shut out, but now a lot of the big auction houses and big galleries are having a strong interest in contemporary art. So, and I think with that emergence, it's also going to lead into the traditional art, which is more what I.
And when you say wall art, try to put a face on that. When I came down, you also had some pictures on the side, but it looked like that was cloth fabric inside of. Are you talking about oil or what do you talk to our audience about that?
So yeah, I'm talking about oil on canvas. I was fortunate enough to get some oil acrylic and powder on a tree bark, and that's from Uganda. So these forms of African art are really being sought after and being pursued, and it's really starting to boom.
Who's your typical client as it relates to buying your art, your mask, your wall art, and per se?
I have a range because I have art that is in different categories for different budgets. We have from the high end to the low end.
Let's talk about that high end. I think when I asked you to join the Kansas City Business Association, and I was saying what I noticed in the different social classes and economic classes just in the African American community, and I know the overall community, the white community, they buy a lot of African art and artifacts and so forth, but most of the time our middle class, they want to have something in their homes that represent Africa, their heritage, and so forth. Talk about those type of clients and what do they normally buy?
So those type of clients are seeking something for their home or office. Um, they're looking at masks for the walls. They're looking at some kind of statue piece. We have statues that can go on a desk or table. And then we also have statues that are freestanding statues.
Right.
As
You
well.
had quite a few of those. Where did most of those statues come from that I saw yesterday?
Most of what you saw came from West Africa, mixed in with some things from the Congo.
Talk. When we say West Africa, who's in West Africa?
Okay, so we're going to say Mali, which is the Dogon. We're going to say in Nigeria. And Nigeria, close to Nigeria is an area called Benin, which is they're
Yeah.
very, very close, and they're
I
known for bronze
thought
work.
I was exactamundo. I had a bronze from Benin, and I thought that's what they really were famous for. Their
Yeah.
bronzes.
That is correct. They're famous for their bronzes. So we have a representation of bronzes from Benin, and then you have Sierra Leone, which is part of West Africa. The Ivory Coast with the Senefu tribe, they make a lot of African artifacts, and then the Congo. It's a very big contributor to African artifacts.
All right. I just saw in the news last week that Ethiopia, one of their crowns, were just returned to them from, I think, Sweden, and that looked like it was a bronze piece. Talk about where you see your business going here in Kansas City, future.
Future-wise, I see the growth potential in here in Kansas City as far as African art. I think I'm starting to stir a lot of interest in the art. People have the interest. There are some people, quite a few people that I've ran into here who've traveled to Africa. So I'm bringing it here locally where you can have a place to come and get it.
Matter of fact, last night I had a conversation with the ex-superintendent of Lee Summit, Dennis Carpenter, and he was trying to put together a group of people, 20 people. He had just come, him and his wife had been over in Ghana, and he was trying to get back this summer. Mm-hmm. Do they have, are they included in this repertoire of statues and textiles?
Ghana is an intricate part. They do a lot of like your new manufacturing of African artifacts. Kente cloth is from Ghana, very well respected, very eloquent fabric, and there's some other. They have some good bronze pieces from Ghana. Ghana has a mix of good African art across the board.
All right, and so what would you like to say to our community in closing? Would give them your information, how they can contact you, where you're located, and give them also a price range that you have something for everybody.
Okay, so price range wise, we have prices, artifacts and different objects from Africa from $5 up into several thousand. We have a combination of beads.
That's what
statues,
I
rings.
left out because you had some beautiful necklaces and things of that nature. Talk about that before we close, also.
Okay, so we have some custom-made jewelry that's made out of copper. It's very extravagant looking.
It was
very
eloquent.
nice. Yeah.
I'm saying, you women, he has some pieces that some of you would die for, chokers and things of that nature. Who's the artist that you are working with that develops those pieces? Because I told you I wanted to do a story working with you on that artist.
Yeah, the artist is a local artist. His name is Brandon, and he's been doing it for a short period of time, but he's very, very good. He's very astute, and he's done a good job of developing his skills to do it. He does some of the most intricate copper work I've seen.
Yeah, those pieces were beautiful. I've been collecting masks for 20 years and different things, but I look at our women when they are wearing good pieces, and those pieces that I saw down at your place, they were exquisite. How can our community get in touch with you?
So I'm located in the Location 1 building, 1734 East 63rd Street on the 3rd floor, Suite 314. On the web, Africana Art. That's Africana with AFF. So that's two F's. AfricanaArt.com. Also, we announce different events that we have on Facebook. So we do have some social media. So again, that's Africana Art on Facebook. So
You want to give them an email address if they want to.
Sure, you can reach out. You can reach out to us at africanaart@gmail.com. That's Africana AFFRICANAART and you can reach out to us there, or you can call us 816.
There we go.
607-1332.
All right. In closing, as we always say, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.